Hi, and welcome to my episode 3 of the AuM Ministry. I'm just going to make sure we are fully live on YouTube. Yes, we are, and we're live on TikTok as well. Hi, everyone. It's really great to see you all. And I'm just going to check the mic is working okay. I believe it is. So, great to see. Yeah, that's all good. Keep an eye on the chat as well. So, hi, everyone, for our AuM Ministry. So today's call, it is only going to be a shorter one, but we're talking about why it can be difficult to connect with God and also rebuilding trust with the divine, but also with ourselves. So feel free to ask any questions. But I thought I'd start by just sharing my personal relationship with how I kind of came to find out that God was real. And it's funny because since young, I've always been so into angels. And when I was young, I used to see spirits. And so I've always known about, say, spirits, ghosts. And when I was seeing spirits and ghosts probably between like when I was born until maybe the age of 7. And then I stopped seeing them because I had a lot of frightening experiences, and really, it wasn't that the spirits were frightening, it was more that everyone else around me acted so freaked out when I would say that I could see people that it scared the F out of me. And I stopped seeing them, but I could still hear them. So I would hear like children crying, I would hear people walking up and down the stairs and things like that. And then I had another frightening experience through hearing things. And then all my gifts just got shut off completely. And so what happened then was about when I was about like 15 at school, my mum was telling me that her friend is a masseuse and her friend had just learnt about really the angels and how you can actually ask the angels for help with anything in your life, and how when you actually do that, um, they can help you with anything at all, and they make a real powerful impact, and they like you see the results. And we were excited because she said that she had a client once she'd learned this. She had a client and she asked the angels before the client came into the session, angels, please let this session go really well, let the client have a great experience, and just a small simple ask like that. And then she said that once she's finished with the client, it was this man. He started like crying afterwards, and he was saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe it, but I felt so connected to my mum. She's passed away like this time last year. I felt so connected to my mum throughout this experience. It's like she was actually here." And she was like so wowed, my mum's friend, so wowed that her session had gone so well and that her client had had such a powerful, profound experience, something she'd never given to someone before when she was doing people's massages. So she was like, "Oh my gosh, this works. Like, you need to ask the angels and see what they can do for you." And at first, it was almost like a fun thing. And so I was at school and I was playing in netball matches. And when I heard about this, I thought, I wonder if they can help us win our matches at school. So I started saying to all my friends, right, guys, I huddled us all up in a group before we started the match. And I was like, we need to ask the angels to help us win. I was like, visualize us winning. We need to ask the angels. And we were like, angels, let us win, help us win. And then we would play really well. Most of the times we would win, sometimes we wouldn't, but we were playing so much better. And half of me was like, I don't know if it's belief or I don't know if it's like actually the angels, but it was really exciting. And then from then onwards, I was seeing things like angel feathers and really getting more and more signs that the angels were real. And although I was interested in angels and in like ghosts and things like that, I never ever experienced or knew God. And to be honest, God, I felt God was like just, I learned about God through Christianity at school, and I was so turned off by Christianity that everything to do with Christianity, Jesus, God, like Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, all of it, I just thought was the biggest BS, and I was really put off against the whole thing. And so I thought the same about God as well. I didn't think that there was a creator. And I also thought that it was like a Christian thing, and I wasn't into the Christian religion. So then when I started my spiritual awakening, I was starting to look into near-death experiences, what happens when you die, past life regressions, like life in between lives, to see what just because it was like really exciting and interesting, and I was learning about quantum physics and things like that. And then when I really started diving into like the soul and the nature of reality, then I started kind of opening myself up to there potentially being a creator. And when I met my spiritual teacher, that's who then introduced me to God, that God is real, God being the original creator of our souls, Divine Mother, Father, God, the original source of all things, really. And I didn't believe in God, really. I was actually very much struggling to feel close to God or connected to God at all. And what I found out is it took me a while to really start trusting in God, feeling like God loved me and accepted me, really realizing that God actually is real. Um, and I also had a lot of fears around God, a lot of resentments. I blamed God for a lot of stuff. Like, for example, the suffering in the world. And it's a very valid question. Why do people suffer? Why do children get cancers and stuff if there's truly an all-loving God? What the F's going on? That is a fair thing to ask. When you start to open yourself up to the divine, and I find angels to be a perfect bridge to that, because angels are almost an in between us and God. A lot of people, they aren't ready to accept God because they've been persecuted in past lives, they've had religious traumas, whatever it is, the word God or the energy of God. Some people actually fear God. They truly believe that the God of the Old Testament in the Bible is actually God. They believe that God is like a punisher or God is an angry God, and none of these things are true. But that's where religions have misled people into not being able to realize or find God, our Divine Mother, Father, Creator God, within themselves, and have their own relationship with their own divine parents. Instead, religions like, you need to come to us, you need to pay us money, we'll choose whether you deserve to have a connection with God or not. You have to have read this textbook, the Bible or the religious texts. And they have so many rules around God, around being able to connect with God, around being able to connect with your divine self. They have this like belief that everyone's born in sin. And so I personally feel like even though there's a lot of light and goodness in religions, a lot of them have failed us, and a lot of people have found God through religion, but a lot of people have been turned away from the thought of God because of religion. Because when we were connected to God, when we used to be connected to nature, and we would heal through the connection with the plants, and we would heal people miraculously with energy work and things like that. When we were there being able to help people connect to their higher selves and the angels and have our own personal relationship with God, it was religion that would persecute us and call us witches and burn us on the stake. So the same people that pretend to be godly, pretend to be good beings, would also turn on you in a heartbeat because you're not abiding what this text says, or because you didn't use the correct name for God, or whatever it is. Religion's got so many limitations to stop us from actually finding the truth and connecting with God for real. And this is why I think spirituality is becoming so much more popular, is because it's not about doing yoga and trying to pretend like you're airy fairy love and light. Spirituality is almost like an open umbrella to be like, I don't really resonate with any of the religions, but I know that there is a divine energy. I know there's more to life than this. So spirituality says, I'm going to find my own path. I'm going to choose my own rules, and I'm going to find God myself and have that own divine connection with God. And this is what true Christianity was. This is what Jesus taught when he walked the earth. He would teach you how to find the divine within. It was after the saints, these prophets, these ascended masters, it was after they left the earth that then humans decided to write books about them, decided to try and jump on the bandwagon of what they truly taught and to try and hijack it so that they could use it for their own negative agendas instead. Because what happened, and what has happened multiple times throughout the ages, is that humans have not been able to control themselves, and they've allowed themselves to get negative attachments, to get mind hacked and hijacked, and then to play out negative agendas to keep us all stuck in a state of amnesia, in a cycle of reincarnation, and to stop us all from truly waking up and realizing that we are divine, that we are sovereign creators, and that we could actually be creating heaven on earth right now, but instead we're stuck in a cycle of suffering. And I cancel and delete that spell because I don't want it to be true anymore. But as long as you allow yourself as long as you allow yourself to talk negatively about people, to react negatively to everything and everyone, to blame everyone else and pretend it's all everyone else's fault, and to not take any responsibility in your own life, for as long as you choose to not care about the world or yourself or your body or your health, and just keep choosing things that are causing you long-term damage, pain, and suffering, whatever that may be, as long as you keep turning against your true natural divine nature, then that's as long as we're going to keep experiencing suffering on earth, because guess what? It's you that has to do the work. We all do internally. There's no point in looking at the chemtrails in the sky and getting angry about it if you can't even deal with your own suppressed anger within, and you can't heal that first. How can you ever expect peace on earth when you've got death and violence on your dinner plate? So we need to be doing this inner work first. And then that's when we truly start to see change. Now, going back to us talking about our divine connection with God, it can be very difficult to rebuild a relationship with God. We all had one originally. We came from the divine Mother, Father, Creator God. We all had a beautiful relationship with God, and we chose to descend into crystallization or form, duality and division, to experience conscious creation and to enjoy our creation. And what happened is, over eons of time, we chose to take our free will and really experiment with how far can we go with this free will. Finding Shani, thank you for the likes. And unfortunately, we took it probably way too far, our free will. And then you get people and beings doing stuff that is like a worst nightmare in real life. And so when this kind of stuff happens, it's very easy to be like, where is the divine in all of this? Where is God in all of this? And here's the truth. God, our creator, the original creator of our soul, God created us in her or his perfect image. God's both really, masculine and feminine. But God created us in her perfect image. This means that she gave us every single quality that she has. Hey, my day has been good, thanks. How's yours been? Finding Shani. So she gave us every quality she has, not in quantity. We aren't God. We're a part of God, but in quality. So like we have the same divine attributes as God has, as the Ascended Masters has, as all the angels have. We just need to reaccess and activate that within ourselves again, but we've completely forgotten all of this. And we believe that suffering and pain has to be experienced for our growth, but it doesn't. finding Shani's had some nice food, and it's Easter Sunray as well. This it's Easter bank holiday, isn't it? Which is exciting. It's always nice because I quite enjoy doing like family gatherings and stuff. I never used to because I always struggled to like make conversation with people. But actually, sometimes it's quite nice to just get together now and then and just have a nice time, even if it's not conversations you would actually choose to have. Just to have that connection and to value the time spent together is good, whether it's family, friends. Finding Shani doesn't like families getting together. This is the thing, is if you've got a family that's crap, if your family's just annoying, then I would be the same. My family's actually really good, and I've come to appreciate it and realize it more and more as well, as I've grown older. Um, so with God, God gave us free will. And this is because we have these same creative qualities. We can create in the same way God does. And she was like, I want to give you guys free will, because then you can choose what you want to create and it's more fun to explore. And at that same token, when and if humans choose to like overstep boundaries with free will, I personally would be like, God, at least set some kind of a switch where you go, oh, if it gets too far, something's triggered where that person just has to leave this plane and they're not allowed to carry out that horrific act. They just have to leave the plane and that was their choice. I would actually want that. So God, if you're listening, or if somehow I can speak to God after this earth, I would probably say, come on, like, can't we just change the rules? But supposedly, if God was to put limitations on our free will, then it's not actually free will, then that's control. And so, is it truly a gift to respect our free will and our boundaries if God was to pick and choose, yeah, you can and can't do that? So, what happened instead, and what is the truth of it all, is that the light of God is all that really exists, and everything else is an illusionary creation, really. We're in a simulation, and by the way, pain effing hurts. Suffering, depression, anxiety, like separation, it really effing hurts. Rape, war, it's terrible and it's real on this plane. And so it's horrific to experience. And so that's not to diminish anyone's experience going through these things. It's real and it's horrible. However, because we're on a lower plane, that's why we feel it so strongly, because we're in such density. But when we actually ascend out of this density and ascend back up into the heavenly planes, we'll realize that all of these different planes, all of these simulations, they were almost dreams. And it's kind of like when you're in a dream and it feels really real in the dream, but then you wake up and you go, thank God that was a dream. And when we pass on from this plane, we're going to have this awakening where we go, shit, that was like a dream. Thank God that was not actually real and that was a dream. And we're going to realize that real life, our true life, is actually in the light, like in the heavenly planes or the higher planes, or basically in with God. So people say that the divine creator of all that is, God, can't actually see and doesn't fully like see or recognize the darkness and the suffering and all the evils that we're doing to each other down here, because it's not real or true. And so it can only recognize itself, which is the true light, and it can only truly see the highest light in all things. And everything else is just a false illusion that we have created and that we're experiencing and seeing. And we need to almost heal ourselves and correct our perception and correct what we're projecting to be back aligned with God's frequency. And so when we want to have a relationship with God, it can feel difficult sometimes because of the suffering, but God didn't choose us to suffer. God never designed for us to suffer. We do that to ourselves, and we perpetuate it basically. And so it's up to us to save ourselves and to ascend out of that and to do the inner work and the healing work and to say, no, everything, all of this pain and suffering, it ends with me. And to choose better for yourself and better for the world and to start consciously creating heaven on earth again. That's where we're going, really. That's where we're heading in these times. So when I started having a more stronger relationship with God, I realized I was doing a lot of like past life healings and stuff. And I was realizing that I had a lot of trapped and stuck emotions that was blocking my true connection with God. I was struggling to feel God. I was struggling to feel like God even cared about me. I was struggling to be able to like hear God or to even feel like I had any kind of relationship or was close to God in any kind of way. And I realized that I just had a lot of healing to do from religious persecution, lifetimes of being like tortured, and them telling me that I'm evil because I was like healing with herbs and stuff, using the name of God to punish people when that is not God. That's the ego in people. That's the demons and the negative energies in people working through people. And even the horrors you hear about in religions, like, say, paedophilia in the Catholic Church, or even paedophilia in Muslim religions and stuff, like Jewish people chopping the foreskin off their babies. It's all religions are religions are going to really show themselves soon. But all of this stuff, none of this is God. None of this is what the ascended masters taught. This is all the works of negative, negative, negative agendas, really. And all of it is child abuse in different ways. And none of that is of God and is from God. So I've had lifetimes where I have blamed God for things. I've had lifetimes where I have felt guilty about not being able to save people in lives and then feeling like God's going to punish me or God's going to hate me for it. And so we can have so much stuff, whether it's this life, past life, parallel lives, that is actually stopping us from truly accessing God, because there's a fear within us that thinks that if we meet God, God's gonna like smite us, whatever that word is. God's gonna be like, I can't believe you're here. How dare you step in front of me? Like all the things you've done in all your lifetimes, and you're like, no, I'm sorry. I was just like I was trapped in the low planes. I had no idea. I was unconscious for half of my life. Like, and so we have all of these projections and perceptions on what we think God is and how we think God's going to actually react to us when we see us. But then the more that you learn to let it go and just let God, for me, I had to do healing work, and I had to just eventually just keeps like I had to just like lay myself bare in front of God, just like energetically and spiritually, and just put all my barriers down and be like, God, I just want a relationship with you. Like, I really hope you accept me, please. And like the divine's like, girl, we have always loved you. What are you talking about? Like, we have never judged you. We have never punished you. We have never thought you guilty of anything. Like, we love you so much. We've always been supporting you. We've always been guiding you. We've always been wanting the best for you. You were doing all that to yourself. Like, you were blaming yourself. You were the one holding on to the guilt. You were the one thinking that God didn't love you, so you didn't even come and try and connect with God. So when you're doing all this work, you're like, oh my gosh, you have to get out of your own way. But the angels are a great bridge, because sometimes you might just need to try and forgive God. Maybe, like, say, for example, if you've lost a child or something, that's a really terrible thing to have to go through. And maybe you are angry at life, and maybe you're angry at God, and that's fair. And so sometimes you need the time. Sometimes you just need to spend some time to just heal from these things, heal from the pain and suffering that exists on earth, but just to know that it was never created by God, that the pain and suffering is a creation from confusion, from our distortion, and we have kind of descended so low in our unawareness or in our ignorance that we are experiencing the lower, denser energies that exist that we didn't ever have to experience. We don't have to continue to experience, and it's time for us to pull ourselves out of this shit and rise above and choose healing, choose love, choose forgiveness, choose compassion, choose self-love. And really, it kind of starts with healing our relationship with ourselves. And that's why it's not just about rebuilding your relationship with the divine. It's often about rebuilding the relationship with yourself, because sometimes it's just a case of like you punishing yourself. Like, you can't forgive yourself for something that you've done, or for a bad decision you made, or for like something that you felt you should have been able to do better but you didn't, and something bad happened. Like, sometimes it's we can't forgive ourselves, and it's easier to just kind of like hate the world and to hate God and to hate the divine than it is to actually truly like face ourselves and truly forgive ourselves. It's really hard to let go of like resentment towards yourself and self-hate, but guess who can help you with that? The divine and God. So it gets to a point where you just have to go, I can't do this by myself. I can't do this alone. And honestly, no one can. It will always, in whatever lifetime you live, no matter how long, you continue in the cycle of reincarnation or go into different planets and experience different realities, you will always realize that you need a connection with the divine and connection with God, because God is the source of your soul. God literally like fuels your soul. And so God and our higher self, the bridge to God, and the angels also bridging us to God, all of these divine beings, they can help us have an amazing life. They can help us make great decisions. They can see the best potentials for ourselves and our timelines. They can make life so good and so blissful and so joyful. And often it's through our own free will, um, thinking that like we're special because we've got free will. It's through our own free will that gets us into like bad situations, because we can't see the whole picture. We're in it. We're down here literally in it like this. The divine are looking from above, so they can see what's coming. They can see what would happen if we go left or right. And so that's why it's so important to connect with your team, your divine team, the lights, the angels, your higher self, and to God, because then you can actually experience true joy and bliss on this plane and every other plane, and you will start to ascend in your awareness, in your consciousness, in your light. You'll start to feel better, you'll start to find joy again. And it doesn't always guarantee like no suffering, because life on earth has its challenges. And sometimes we even choose to like have people come and go before we even came here to earth. And so even though we go through challenges and you think, why is this happening to me? It could be that you actually pre-agreed to all of this so that you can all experience these different things and you can gain the virtues and growth that you wanted to gain through this life. And so the more we connect back to God, and this kind of happens every moment at a time, it just happens by consciously choosing to get out of your own way and say, do you know what? I actually am not strong enough to do all this by myself. I need your help, the angels. I need your guidance. I need your wisdom. I need your clarity. You know what's ahead for me. You know what I've came here to try and do. You know what I've came here to achieve. Can you help me? And the minute you just ask for that help is when they can help. And it's such a powerful transition when you ask for their help, because they have been longing for you to ask for their help for so long. Your higher self, the angels, God, the divine, because of that thing, free will, we were talking about earlier. They don't overstep it. So if you don't ask for help, they don't just come and try and intervene. I believe that if something major was happening, like a massive accident and you weren't meant to go at this time, I believe that they can actually intervene in these points where your soul has chosen already a different like exit point. But for most of the things, they aren't allowed to intervene, and so you have to ask. And it's almost like, you know, how your brain, when it's wired a certain way, it fires a certain way. So your neural pathways, they create like energetic bridges, really, where the more that you keep thinking a certain way, the more your brain finds it easier to just keep having these instant thoughts that respond in that same way. This is why people say if you have a negative mindset, you need to reprogram your brain, because it's actually a physical thing where you need to train your brain how to rewire your neural pathways to go in a more positive direction. Well, it's the same with your connection to the divine and to the to God. It's not just like an instant thing, although some people might have that. For me personally, it's been a case of like constantly doing the inner work to keep healing myself, to keep unblocking my channels, to allow more light and more of the divine to come in, and to keep consciously choosing and saying, God, angels, like connect with me, bridge with me, visualizing them, talking to them, and building that relationship with them so that you can start building those neural pathways between yourself and God, like an energetic bridge. And then it gets stronger and stronger, and then it becomes easier and easier for you to just tap in and receive that divine guidance and wisdom, because you have strengthened that connection and that light between you and the divine. The divine is always waiting for us, and they are all always so ready to be our best friends and to help us with everything. It's actually us that turned away from the divine. The divine never ever turned away from us. And so the more that we choose to surrender our free will and align ourselves with divine will, with the will of God, of the divine, the will that our higher self has already pre-planned, and basically trusting and leaning on the divine and being like, guide me, show me how, show me where, show me what I need to say and do. Like, I am a vessel for you. This is when we can really start to experience such a beautiful, blissful life. It's not easy letting go of control. It's not easy trusting the divine, especially when in the past you have struggled with persecution and you've not felt protected and things have gone wrong and you're like, God, where were you? But actually, what's interesting is the more you build this bridge, this energetic bridge, it's like it helps that God light cross over and into the physical vessel. And the more you hold God's light into your physical vessel, you actually find that you've got even more divine psychic protection, because you've got this powerful light and it starts to build a real strong, powerful field and protects you. If on some kind of subconscious level you don't truly believe you are supported by God, protected by God, you don't believe that you deserve the protection, or you feel like God hates you, or you hate God, or whatever it is, when you have those energetic emotional blocks, you're blocking that connection. And so you're actually putting blocks on your actual own protection, your own connection and things like that. So that has been our Ministry. We've got our Return to Eden journey starting on the 1st of May. This is 7 weeks of us doing group teaching calls every single week, where we're looking at how to embody our higher self through lifestyle. So all the different aspects of your lifestyle and how you can start bringing in more of your higher self, building that connection to God. We're doing the teaching calls once every week for 7 weeks. And then we also have got guided meditations, ceremonial activations, and it's about actually like living it and putting in the work throughout the 7 weeks to really start implementing these practices. We've got a group chat as well to support you through that journey. So the Return to Eden journey is starting on the 1st of May. We've also got our Enlightenment Academy starting on the 1st of June, which is very much about how to become an ascended master on this plane, how to work with the ascended masters and incarnate your higher self, but in a much deeper level, like in the sense that you feel you're here to truly almost become a spiritual leader. Return to Eden is for your own healing. And the Enlightenment Academy is for your own healing, but it takes it that next step further, where it's very much not just your own healing, but your own self-mastery. It's about walking as an ascended master on earth at this time. And if you feel called to that, I'm pretty sure you can join now and your payment and the enrollment will start on the 1st of June. I'm doing one-on-one healing sessions though, where we can target these exact things like blocks to God or your psychic gifts and things like that. And what else? What else are we doing? Other live group courses as well. I've got my 7-Ray Raw Empowerment Journey, so eating raw vegan food for 7 Rays. That is a self-study course that's already available on the Great Light Gardens website. All of these offerings are on thegreatlightgarden.com. I'm streaming this live on YouTube as well, TikTok. So on my YouTube, The Great Light Garden, I'm doing these AuM Ministries every single week where we're teaching about embodying your higher self and the different aspects of embodying your higher self. We've got rising rituals that you can do, like a guided ritual routine to do in the AM so that you can start your day in the best way. I've got prayer songs. I've got my own music on my Ora Zikara YouTube, so definitely check that out. Come and join one of our courses or the Enlightenment Academy. I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. Feel free to comment on this video on a point that I mentioned that really inspired you or triggered you or awakened you or made you feel like, wow, what that really made sense. What was your aha moment throughout this journey and this call? Comment in the chat below. Sending you guys so much love and many blessings. Have a God ray and might the light guide you on. Ta-ra!